Hello once again. Welcome to another fantasy draft episode from the Boleros. So, ako ulit si Sam. I'm here with Gab and we have a special guest today. An old friend of ours. Batchmate din namin to, Ateneo, mula elementary hanggang college. Sports fan to. Siguro kung
Epic sports fan.
epic sports fan.
Fanatic.
Ito yung actually kapitbahay ko to eh. And ito yung nag-introduce din talaga sa akin ng mga UAAP nung bata kami. Siya yung nag-introduce sa akin ng mga UAAP teams, ganyan. So, sige, welcome Maui. Maui, introduce yourself. Gano'n ka na ba katagal nanonood ng UAAP?
Actually, since early 2000s. Yung UAAP kasi naging bonding moment namin nung LPATs ko, which was the reason why he was very, very active in UAAP, watching UAAP games, specifically basketball, was because nung 2002 was gonna be the 25th anniversary nung high school batch nila. Sa Ateneo kasi very, very festive ang 25th anniversary. So naging very active kami simula nung 2001. And then ever since our whole family has been very hooked into UAAP basketball.
Yeah.
Pero,
just
Mau-
for everyone's info, I was meeting Maui at UAAP games when we were 9 years old. And ever since then, nakikita kami ni Maui palagi na UAA games together with our dad. So,
Oo, kasama yung airpods namin. Kwento ko nga sa kanila off-screen kanina, tumatakas pa ako pasok ng Blue Eagle Gym during those days. Since bata ako, hindi ako tinitigil nung marshal siguro o guards.
cute ka raw kasi, pare.
Mau? Lumulusot
Oo.
ka lang, ganun? Pasok ka lang? Wala kang
Bale,
ticket?
galing
Ganun?
dun sa yung Blue Eagle Gym kasi sa yung entrance ng Blue Eagle Gym sa likod, very near dun sa pick-up location ng mga bata sa Ateneo Grade School. So because my dad was a very avid fan, he also watched yung other games. So kunwari, yung game ng Ateneo was at 4 p.m. And then may ongoing game na 2 p.m. Ang instruction sa akin noon nung umaga, pagdating niya sa akin. Instructions pa. Pag dismissal mo ng 2 o'clock o 2:30, pumasok ka na lang dun sa likod sa Blue Eagle Gym. Yeah. Nakakatawa doon, it probably went on for probably 2 or 3 years.
Ganun ka, nakatatlong
grade 6
seasons kayo?
Oo.
Grabe.
Yeah, I remember those.
Nagdakaw pa ako sa revenue ng UAP.
After dismissal, no? Sakto after dismissal, may
dismissal.
game sa Blue Eagle Gym. Sobrang comfy lang.
Okay.
Hindi parang kayo
Super.
MOA na lahat ng games.
Yeah, MOA na.
Layo, mabiyahe mo.
Tsaka
Dati,
Araneta.
backyard lang natin.
Backyard.
Okay, so etong si Maui, legit baller to, legit mahilig to sa basketball. Bolero din to. So, happy to have you here, Maui.
Yeah, happy to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Gab, since bago si Maui, no, baka maybe you can also explain to Maui and to the viewers ano yung magiging mechanics nung fantasy draft natin. And sino pala ang the-draft natin today?
Okay. So, first of all, before we get to the draft, our viewers might notice that we got merch! We got merch! Sorry, Maui. Wala ka pa. Guess ka muna ngayon. But we got merch! So,
Boleros.
let us know to our 60 subscribers if you want
Umaangat
merch.
na ang Boleros.
Starting small, what we're getting there. So anyway, today we're gonna go do a fantasy draft of the UST Growling Tigers. Now, to our viewers, you might say, bakit walang taga-UST na kasali? Wala kaming kilala! Okay. So we had to get the most avid UAP fan, Maui, because he probably knows some knowledge about the UST Tigers from all his years watching the UAP. So I'm sure he's not clueless about the UST Growling Tigers. So for the mechanics of our draft, Maui, snake draft tayo. We're gonna randomize our order mga 3 or 4 times. I'm gonna share the screen later. Tapos you can pick your team however you want. So kung gusto mo mag all small ball around Cyrus Baguio, go ahead. Kung gusto mo walang center sa team mo, parang yung Houston Rockets in the past few years.
Positionless basketball na ba yan?
Kung gusto mo
Positionless.
ganun, go
Pwede.
lang. Up to you. Well, but however, you have to take note na you're picking these players for who they were during their time in UST. So you're not getting kunyari, si Alain Maliksi. Di ba? Alain Maliksi only
Blackwater,
became,
PBA,
Oo.
sharpshooter, Allen Maliksi.
so you're not getting the PBA version of Alain Maliksi, who is evidently much better than the
Mhm.
UAAP version of Alain Maliksi. So just take that into account. You're not winning this draft by picking Alain Maliksi.
Right.
Just saying, okay? So
Okay.
that's it. We'll go around eight rounds.
Yeah. Usually
Uh,
up to 8 picks tayo.
Then we'll go 10 if time permits, but 8 is our maximum for now. So let's start with the randomization. Hopefully random.org does not fail us this time. Oh, that's a first.
Okay. Ba't ganun? Hindi gumagalaw.
Oh, yan. Gumalaw.
Ayun.
Oh.
Save lang siya.
Nakailan na? 3 times. Oh, ayan.
Ah.
3 times na, no?
Yep,
Tama
3
ba?
times. Yep, 3
Okay.
times.
So, ang order, Maui, Sam, Gab. Okay.
Grabe tong guest of honor natin. First
Oo
pick.
nga eh. First pick agad eh, no?
I'm interested
Okay,
kung saan ka
sige.
pupunta, Maui. Kung sino unang pipick mo. Kung we're gonna
Okay.
build the UST team. Alright.
Okay.
So, Maui, let's get started. First pick for UST Fantasy
With my
Draft.
first pick,
Tapos
I would
Maui,
like to
ano
pick-
pala? Maui, sabihin mo yung pick mo, tapos magkwento ka kung bakit yun yung pick mo. Ano yung reason, ba't siya yung napili mo? Ano yung naalala mo sa kanya, ganun. Kahit short
Okay.
lang.
Okay.
Sige, go. First pick, UST.
First pick ko, I will prioritize, of course, a very versatile big man. He was the most recent MVP. One of the most recent MVP players
bad trip!
for UST. Chabio.
Bad trip!
I'm picking
Wow,
Chabio
I'm
because
surprised.
Chabio became the MVP of UAAP during the peak of foreign student athletes, which is now. And actually, if you remember correctly, the Ateneo team 2 years ago, before the pandemic, was a very strong team to the point that they were one of the first teams to sweep the whole elimination and the finals. But to me, what really stood out during that season was, aside from the dominance of Ateneo, was the resurgence of UST.
Yes.
With Aldenayo.
Right.
During the first round nung season na yon, Ateneo almost actually lost to UST. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that very vividly.
4 points, 3 points. I was there live. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that game first off because it was at 10 a.m. sa Araneta. One of the earliest UAP seniors games I've watched. Antok pa mga tao noon. I remember, parang tahimik pa. Kahit Ateneo UST, hindi masyado electrified yung crowd. Unlike yung usual na Ateneo UST, which is wild talaga kasi wild ang UST crowd eh. But I won't forget na first yung alley-oop dunk to Abando. Nagising lahat.
Yeah, I remember
And then another slam by Chabio, which is why Chabio is my first pick. Because he's one of the most dominant big man, the UAAP.
Okay.
We're seeing a trend here, Sam. Sa lahat ng fantasy draft natin, I think a center has been picked first, diba? I think I picked Malik Diouf in our UP draft. Apo picked Benembala. And you picked Arwin. Arwin was first.
I think depende din eh. Kasi if tingnan mo tong UST team, UST roster natin, onti lang yung big men na magaling eh. Na talagang solid.
So, UST is very known kasi UST is very known for their wing players.
Yes.
Oh, ang daming wing eh. So, parang ganun eh. Okay, sige. Go,
Maui,
Gab.
I think you would agree. Medyo kalokohan yung MVP ni Chabio. No. Dapat si Ange Kwame yun eh.
Definitely,
Bro,
definitely Ange
uh,
Kwame. Definitely.
Ateneo
Definitely
went
Ange Kwame.
undefeated for a whole season and yung
Yes.
MVP went to the fourth best team in the
Yes.
UAAP. Come on.
That's part of yung part of yung
Stats.
stats na
Yeah,
masyadong
stats-based MVP.
stats-based MVP of the UAAP, which is
Mm.
why big men usually wins the award.
Oh, totoo yan,
Ah,
totoo
okay,
yan.
makes sense.
Oo.
That makes sense.
Wala
Because
masyadong
they
may
oh,
value naman yung wins, but the stats really overwhelm the number of wins you get, which is really prevalent in this season when Ange Kwame lost the MVP to Chabio, which is as you've said, was only a fourth seeded UST team.
Oo nga.
yeah,
Tama.
that's true. And
Okay.
I'd like to give Maui credit. I didn't think of that. Na oo nga eh. It was that year na a year after I think they won only one game. Uh,
Probably yes.
yung 2 years ago or the
I think
previous year,
if
and
I'm not
then
wrong, that's also the first year of Alden Ayo in
yeah,
Ay,
and then
UST.
ayo. Yes.
pagdating ni Alden Ayo,
Alden
the
Ayo.
magic touch, which is why
Mm.
we've been saying Maui in the past few episodes. We're big fans of Alden Ayo despite his
Despite the
questionable
off court
his off-court
issues.
issues. He's a great
Kahit
coach. He
douchebag
wins
siya.
everywhere.
Yes, he's a great coach, which is also even Baldwin mentioned. Alden Ayo is one of the best coaches here in the Philippines.
Isa siya sa mga favorites ni Tab, di ba?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a brilliant coach. Great pick, Maui. We
Yeah.
kind of expected it's
Was
either Chavio or
Karim
another
Abdul.
big man that I think is coming up next.
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Sam,
I actually
go.
So ako Chabio was my first pick talaga. Malayo like if you look at all the bigs of UST, but I think the second I'm picking a big man. Sabi ko nga wala akong mahirap makapili ng big man dito sa UST, so might as well pick them early. Not as athletic or as long as Chabio, but highly skilled also. Can score in multiple ways. Yun lang, maliit siya eh. Like, he's an undersized big. Siguro if big man siya nung early 2000s, sobrang dominant niya. Pero ngayon, nung natapat siya sa mga bigger players, medyo nahirapan siya. So, I'm picking Karim Abdul as
Ah,
my
as
first pick
as
or second
expected,
pick.
the two best big men come
Yep.
first and second. Ah,
Sayang. Ngala ko, ibang route, ibang pipiliin ni
he
Maui.
played 5 years for UST, if I'm not mistaken. He was there for a
Oo,
long
ang
time.
tagal.
Tsaka
Ang
most of
tagal.
the
Diba?
Parang
years, I
feel,
think Mythical 5 si Karim Abdul. I'm not
si
even
Karim Abdul, no?
not 100% sure if he won the MVP, probably not, but most, if not all of the years, he was
No,
part of the
he didn't
Mythical
win the
team.
MVP because he was there in the league the same time as Ray Parks and Kiefer Ravena. So I think that Ray Parks won back to back, and then Kiefer won
He for
back to
one
back.
back to back.
So there was no
Mm,
chance for him to become MVP, but he was really solid. Although my core memory of Karim Abdul was Kiefer Ravena dunking on him
Dunking on him.
in the UAP finals, but he's a solid big man. I mean, he was matched up with Greg Slaughter for most of the finals in that
yeah.
year, but he still put up big numbers. He was he was a we talk about Ojula from UST Sam na
Ah,
that yung doesn't look his age. Karim Abdul didn't look his age, and he was a
Definitely.
rookie.
Definitely did.
He played 5 years, and he still he still looked the same from this first year to his fifth year. But yeah, Kareem Abdul, I can't argue with the second pick. He was pretty solid. Uh,
nag-quick Google ako. 4 years lang pala siya, pero tatlong straight na Mythical 5. Second to
ayun,
fourth year.
pretty big guy. He was undersized also for a big man. What was he? Six
Yeah.
five, 6'6"?
probably
6'5 lang
around
siya
that.
eh. So,
And
oo.
going against Greg Slaughter,
Greg
Yeah, who's
Slaughter, natapat
7
siya
feet
eh.
still
tall.
holding his own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so
Okay,
I'm
Gab,
put
back-to-back picks ka.
I'm put in a bit of a problem here because there are two obvious first picks, which are the two big centers for UST. So I'm gonna have to go.
Meron pa.
Oh, alam ko
Meron
meron
pa.
pa, but I'm gonna have to go with a wing for my first pick in this draft, and I'm gonna piss off Sam because I'm picking Cyrus Baguio.
Well, obvious naman. Obvious. Obvious pick.
uh, no particular basketball reason to pick Cyrus Baguio as a third pick in our draft. I mean, there are, I think, better players here, but there is no one more
Ah, talaga?
exciting. But I think there are better wings out there, honestly.
Okay.
But in terms of people you want to watch play, I think Cyrus Baguio falls into that category. And he had one of the best nicknames in all of Philippine sports, Cyrus Baguio. Perfect, because he really skied for everything. He was such a high flyer. I remember watching him when I was a kid and just being amazed by how high he can jump and how much he reminded me of Kobe Bryant, because I think it's his idol also. And he played
Yeah.
just like Kobe. Uh, Another thing that I remember from Cyrus Baguio was his. Uh, I became a fan of Cyrus Baguio actually when he was in the PBA in the pros, because he wasn't. He was cut so many times. I remember this. He was drafted, but he was cut so many times, and he was only given a roster spot by Yeng Yao in Red Bull.
Ah,
I,
talaga?
yeah,
Hindi
I
ko
remember
alam
this.
Kasama
yun.
ni Rico Villanueva na yun. Rico
Yeah,
Villanueva.
and
Rico Villanueva.
ironically, his
Ah.
his running mate back then was Enrico.
Hmm.
We went up against in the UAP. But yeah, I remember this. He was cut so many times in the PBA, couldn't get a roster spot until Yeng Yao picked him off. He was a practice player for one of the other teams, and Yeng Yao got him in Red Bull and started him, and that's when his career in the pro started. And eventually, he transferred to Alaska, had a great career there, and NLEX and all throughout. But yeah, I remember this. It was a story that Cyrus Baguio, you finally got this shot to
Turbulent
win.
start pala siya no, to his pro
Yeah.
career. Actually, Gab, to be honest, outside of Ateneo, during the early 2000s, Cyrus Baguio and Nino Gellig, both from UST, are
Ninja
both
Gaelic.
one of my idols din, same as you. Pero you got into the hype train of Cyrus Baguio in PBA. Ako sa UAAP pa lang, sila ang favorite players ko. I'm a small person. So I
Mm.
love guards, shooting guards,
Yes.
small forwards, definitely. And Cyrus Baguio was one of the best scorers in the UAAP during those times.
Yes, indeed. So fun to
Na,
watch. Oh,
naalala ko
go
yun eh.
Sam.
Kasi pag nagbabasket kami ni Maui, yun yung reference niya lagi si Cyrus Baguio eh.
Cyrus Baguio.
Kung kapag local kapag local, pero kapag NBA T-Mac yung
T-Mac.
favorite ni Maui noon. Pero pag
To
UAP
me,
Cyrus
to me,
Baguio.
during the early 2000s, Cyrus Baguio and probably Leo Avenido from FEU.
Oh,
Yan ang
Leo
mga
Avenido,
underrated guards
yes.
because how can you compete with Larry Fonasheres, Mac Cardonas, and James Yap of UE? But they were holding their own during those times.
So if we
Great
have,
pick, Gab. Great pick.
uh, if I was gonna say, if we have younger viewers here who don't remember Cyrus Baguio, he's back in the, I think in the MPBL. Sam, I think you linked it to me. He's back. He came back from retirement, and he can still
yung mga
jump.
ganon.
He can
Yung mga
still
parang
fly.
dadunk tas
Oh,
liliyap.
he still he still has hops. And look for highlights of Cyrus Baguio on YouTube. There are a lot. I mean, he's a pretty uh, great player to
Electrifying
watch.
player.
Electrifying player talaga. And lives up nga to his nickname of Cyrus Baguio. Ah,
Ganda eh, no?
ah.
Skyrus. O game, Gab. Next pick mo.
All
Ikaw
right.
ulit.
So for my next pick, uh, you're probably gonna pick him eventually. So I'm gonna have to pick this guy. Para naman may big man ako in the middle. I'm gonna pick a UAAP MVP, Jervy
Jeremy
Cruz.
Cruz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, to be
The
honest,
championship.
I hated this guy because The 2006 championship will forever be etched in my memory.
The most painful
Yes, it's so painful
outside
to
of
us.
any finals loss to Lasal.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, Maui. More painful than losing to Lasal in 2001 or in 2016, or was it 17? Was whatever. This loss to UST in 2006 was so hard to take because I feel like we were the favorites in this finals, and Jervy Cruz just gave us everything, and it made me hate Ford Arrow because Ford Arrow couldn't do anything against
Yeah.
Jervy Cruz. He was just giving them everything. Amazing uh, player because he was small, but he knew how to use his body. He had great post moves. I mean, just a guy who knew how to uh, maneuver inside the paint. And this was a time where big men were valued so much in Philippine basketball. I think it's very obvious now. Now, big men are not as valued in basketball, but back then, when you had an elite big man, when you had an elite big man, you're kind of assured of some
Competing.
winning.
Yes.
Some and Jervy Cruz came out of nowhere. Saan ba nila nahugot si
I was
Jervy
gonna
Cruz?
say, di ba parang nung championship
Actually,
year, dun lang
yung
siya
kwento ni
lumabas eh.
Jervy Cruz, ang kwento ni Jervy Cruz, if my memory serves me right, he was a very fat player. As in, he weighed
Okay.
probably 100 pounds before the Jervy Cruz we saw in the 2006 run of UST. He played
100
in
kilos, you
UST's.
mean? Yung 100 pounds, pare. Payat din.
No. I mean 100 pounds heavier than he
100
was.
pounds
Okay.
more
At least
Okay,
100
okay.
plus more before the 2006 UST team. Ang
championship.
kwento ni Jervy Cruz, if I'm not mistaken, is either UST as one of my cousins kasi played for UST basketball also, but not in
Mhm.
Team A. UST has a multitude of teams. Most of the UAP schools have Team A and Team B, which is
Team
common.
B. Oo.
But UST, I think, has up to Team E, Team D, or something.
Wow.
Grabe.
Jervy Cruz was
Grabe.
somewhere there, probably B or rank about Team
What?
D or Team C. Yeah,
Talaga?
yeah,
Wow.
UST.
Hindi ko alam yun. Alam mo yun, Gab?
Hindi, di ko alam yun. May Team E? Team D? Ano to?
Madami ang UST.
Parang
Wow.
intram sa grade school?
Parang intrams
Bang-
sa grade school. Ah, kaya yung gym nila, tuloy-tuloy yung training mula morning, mula umaga, puro tuloy-tuloy yung training kasi marami silang farm teams. Kaya very common sa UST to get players na where did this guy come from? May mga ganong type of players before.
Pero matagal na palang UST, ganun.
Nandun lang
Nakatago.
pala, nakatago. Jervy Cruz worked his way to Team A and then dominated
Yeah.
when he entered. If my memory
Galing.
serves me right.
Sakto yung pagkuha natin kay Maui sa amin.
Oo nga eh.
Ang
May
daming
mga
mga inside
insider
scoop.
info tayo eh. Naalala
Great
ko nga din
story,
talaga
Maui.
yun eh. Naalala ko
Great
talaga, parang,
story.
sino ba tong Jervy Cruz na to? Bakit biglang mamaw agad?
Out of
Grabe
You know,
yung
nowhere
year
yun.
na yun eh.
you
Oo.
know, I never knew about him until the finals. Like when he was awarded the MVP, I was like, who the hell is, when he was there in game 1, who the hell is this guy? Then I saw he was leading in the MVP race. Like, what the hell? Bakit siya? Because I was more focused on juniors basketball back then since we were in high school back then. Then gulat lang ako, he's leading the
UST
MVP.
UST during that year was also a dark horse team. They started, I think that season, if I'm not mistaken, that was a season na Lasal was suspended sa UAP. So the UAP only had, I
Hmm.
think, 12 games that year. And
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, UST started the first round 0-6. 0-6 and
06?
06? Oh,
0-6 and
I
won the
remember
whole
that.
second round as a fourth seed. Ang ano diyan, ang story diyan sa UST is they also lost a teammate no off season. May namatay na teammate ng UST. And
Sino?
Parang
then
naalala ko yun.
if you remember
Naalala
correctly,
ko yun.
Gab, noong
Yung
2006 season,
nakuryente?
Something to
Na
do with
kuryente
drowning,
ba?
I think, or something, or
Oo.
kuryente. Basta sa accident. Some accident
Oo.
happened na unexpected. UST was uh, even bringing pictures of Pope John Paul during the finals, if you remember correctly. And everyone was praying the rosary. So that season was very, very unexpected for them to win the title.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
remember.
why which is
It's
why
painful.
it's very painful in the hearts na natalo Ateneo during that season.
And after that game one, no, that epic game one,
Yes, after that epic game one, the
you
dog Kramer
you
shot.
you you would think that Ateneo was meant to be the champion, but USD won games 2 and 3, and I was so heartbroken. I was so heartbroken. Grabe yun. And I just want to give a shout out to the UST crowd because until now, I think the loudest crowd that I've ever heard in a UAP game is still from UST. That 2006 crowd from UST was incredible. Uh, I was telling them, Maui, in our previous podcast when UP won the championship, Sam and Dale were saying that the UP crowd was the loudest ever. Sabi ko, I beg to disagree. The UST crowd, iba.
Iba.
Iba ang UST crowd.
Para ibang UST
Oh,
crowd.
kahit natatalo sila, mag-go step pa rin ng UST crowd
Tsaka yung
with so
gumaganon,
much
bro.
spirit. Oh,
Gumaganon lahat.
at
Iba ang UST.
sabay-sabay.
Iba ang
Sabay-sabay
UST.
sila. As in, you can see from Gen Ad, you can see them all. Sabay-sabay sila gumaganito at kumisigaw.
Iba ang
Tsaka,
UST
tsaka,
crowd.
tsaka to be fair to UST, I think that's the best cheer. Yung Go
Yes.
Uste, I think that's
Yes.
the
Yeah,
best
probably.
cheer. Walang
Very
sinabi
catchy.
yung mga ibang cheers. Sobrang catchy. Tsaka yung pag may balloon na sila na ginagano, bad trip yun. Sobrang
Yeah.
catchy.
Anyway, let's move on kasi ang sakit ng
Oh, sige.
matandaan yung
Oh.
2006 championship
2006
ng
season.
UST.
Okay. Sige. Game. Next pick na ako. This is my second pick. Actually, may nakikita akong mga super talented players pa obviously dito sa board natin. But I don't know kung reach to pero I have to pick one of my favorite UST players. And recently lang siya naging UST player. Kaso sandali lang. So I'm gonna pick medyo reach siya pero baka hindi kayo mag-agree. Tingnan natin. I'm gonna pick Renz Abando as my second pick. So the reason why is sandali lang siya sa UST, di ba? So obviously 1 year lang siya doon. But super love this guy. Super athletic, can score, can sobrang scary nito sa defense. Lumilipad to, he can block shots, he can steal the ball, he can pressure you. Tsaka, napaka-humble lang na bata napaka-simpleng tao
Yes.
So, I really love guys like that na they just let the game do the talking. So,
Tsaka
I couldn't help but pick him.
another player that was discovered out of nowhere. Di ba? Sino ba si
Yes,
Renzo Bando bago US?
I was gonna say,
Bago
Maui.
yung
Saan ba to
season na yun.
galing? Saan ba galing si Renza Bando nung before
Renzo
UST?
Bando I think came from Pangasinan. If I'm not mistaken. Parang nakalaro lang ata siya dun sa mga random scrimmages or trainings or pocket tournaments ng UST and then they got him.
Na-discover. Alam mo,
But even then,
si Renzo
nobody knew Renzo Bando.
Nobody knew him.
Renzo Bando's name only popped up in the PBA D-League when they faced Ateneo. And he
okay. Doon
played
siya
the great game.
nakita una.
Doon siya nakita.
Okay.
And he, and Terry Ravena even gave him shoes.
Shoes,
Yeah,
di ba?
yeah.
Kasi wala
Oo,
siyang sapatos.
Oo, ganun. Kasi
naalala
nagulat
ko
rin si Terry. Who's this guy?
Lakas.
Flying
Lakas
over
nito.
the court. And then Renzo Bando did disappoint during his, I think, loan season ba?
Loan
One
season.
season.
Loan season.
For me, the biggest what if team, no, if if all the Alden Ayo off court stuff didn't happen,
Didn't happen.
you were talking about this, Sam. Yung what could a team with Mark Nonoy, CJ Cancino, and Renzo Bando do? Siguro daming
Chabio
championship.
pa.
With Chabio. Siguro
Chabio.
daming championships nun, no? But, grabe.
Wala And alam mo si Renz Abando, payat siya pero alam mong malakas to eh, no? Alam mo yung mga ganun, yung
Yeah.
parang hindi malaki katawan pero alam mo malakas to eh. Pag ma-samplean ganito, masakit eh. So, yeah, I really like Renz Abando. I'm happy with
Modern day
getting
basketball
him
rin
as
sa
my
bando
second pick.
talaga is very
Yes.
valuable
And
because of its versatility.
one
Yun, tama.
more recently won MVP and Rookie of the Year. Very
Sa
funny, but he
Letran.
won
Yeah,
he
Letran.
won Rookie of the Year in the NCAA, despite being 24 years old.
Yeah.
Uh, but hopefully, I think he's staying one more year in Letran, despite offers to play abroad.
Abroad.
Yes,
Uh,
meron nata siya Korea, I think, also.
yeah, he was
KBL din.
offered to play in Korea, but I think he chose to stay in Letran. Uh,
I was very happy to see him play in the last window nung FIBA.
yeah, me too.
Gilas,
Hopefully,
no? He's
yeah.
perfect for Gilas.
Hopefully he doesn't get discouraged given the beating we got from New Zealand.
Sana. We'll
Sana,
see.
sana. But
Okay,
great pick, Sam.
Maui.
Actually, Sam, I was gonna say if I had one of the first two picks and I didn't have Cyrus Baguio on the board, I would have gone with Renzo Bando because you can
Okay.
argue that
Okay.
he's a way better version of Cyrus Baguio.
May defense
Cyrus
eh, no?
Baguio was just more of a sentimental pick for me because I freaking love watching Cyrus Baguio play.
But for me, still not a bad pick, Cyrus Baguio. Cyrus
Of
Baguio is
course, of
really one of
course.
the
Oh.
UST greats.
Offensive superstar yan.
Tsaka ano siya, for me, this is the first people that put the guard forward slot of UST into what it is now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for my next pick, actually, dapat Cyrus Baguio ako second round. But since
Sabi
wala
na
na si
nga ako
Cyrus
eh.
Baguio, I will choose another semi-high flyer 3-point shooter wing MVP, another
Alam na
MVP
to.
player from UST, Dylan Ababu.
Ah, oh
Wow.
yes.
I'm actually surprised Dylan Ababu didn't pan out as much after his
In,
UST
Sa
stint.
PBA, no?
Yes,
I
sa
think he was
PBA.
injured a lot. Diba? I think he went through a lot of injuries.
Kala ko
No?
actually magiging mainstay si Dylan Ababu sa
Ginebra.
Gilas teams also.
Gilas.
Because of the size, Dylan Ababu is probably 6'4", 6'5", and he can play the two slot, which is
Versatility eh, no? Versatile
which is
siya
not
eh,
very
no?
common in Filipino basketball
And can
na
shoot. And can
yeah,
shoot
and can
really
shoot.
well.
Shooter talaga, oo.
Tsaka one of the key players also of the 2006 heartbreaking
Let's not talk
UST.
about the 2006 championship, Howie.
Rookie
Oh,
ata siya nun. Rookie
Rookie siya.
ata
He
siya.
was the sixth
Bata
man
pa
of
siya
that
nun.
team.
Oo.
Sixth man of that team.
huwag natin
So,
pag-usapan yung
Okay.
Maui. Ang sakit sa puso.
Okay, sige. So Mau,
Snake no? So next pick ako ulit.
pero before
Mau.
your pick,
Ah.
pagbalik sa'yo, we do a recap para lang
Okay,
ma-review kung
okay.
So, since bumalik na, let's do a recap. So, 2 rounds in, first pick si Maui, Chabio, and then he picked Dylan Ababu. Ako naman, second pick, I picked Kareem Abdul, and then Renza Bando, and then si Gab, Cyrus Baguio, and Jervy Cruz. So, lahat tayo may big men na nakinuha off the board. Mukhang
Yeah.
mahirap kasi maghanap ng big man eh.
Big
Mahirap
and
maghanap
wing.
ng big.
Big and wing.
Yep.
Sige.
I'll go,
So,
Maui.
sige, Mau. Third round. Ikaw muna.
Third round. Let's see.
Please, Lord.
Sino ba okay? Okay.
Dadasal ako.
Third round ko was also a teammate of Dylan Ababu, but he's not part of the 2006 team. But also another very versatile guard forward who lit up Ateneo during one of his first games. Kasim Mirza. Yan ang next pick ko.
Okay.
Wow, okay. Kasi Mirza. Hindi ko na-expect
Mirza.
third round.
Ako rin,
pick
I
mo yan,
didn't expect that. I was thinking of he was gonna go with someone else, but sige, Kasim Mirza. Won't fault that pick.
Okay. Yeah.
Same mold as
Actually,
Dylan Ababu.
Yes,
Ang
very
daming-
similar mold
ang- ang daming
with Dylan
ganitong
Ababu.
players ng UST, no? Yung ganitong type of player.
Wing talaga ang specialty ng UST. Kung FEU ang specialties, the point guard slot. For me, ang specialty ng UST is probably the 2 or 3 slot wing players. Ever
Yes.
since Cyrus Baguio, very very competitive yung wing slots nila.
Same observation, Mau. When I was doing this list and I was running through all the rosters from since season 63, yung same observations yung sinabi ko sa sarili ko, daming wings ng UST.
Three wing
Grabe talaga.
lineups yan ng UST. I think
Yes.
Ababu and Mirza also both played power forward.
Yes.
Sometimes during their UAAP stint.
Yes. Totoo yan. Very versatile player, very versatile defender. Was not as good a shooter as Dylan Nababu, if I remember correctly.
Streaky. Kasi Mirza was
Yeah.
very streaky.
Yeah, yung very streaky. But very versatile nga, yung tama si Sam. Him and Dylan Nababu together, grabe ang haba. And some other player who we will probably mention later na kasabay nila. Another in...
Nako, alam ko na.
Uh,
Pwede rin dapat yun. Actually, pwede rin yun. I think I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
they have lots of those kind of players na who can switch between big and small, shoot from the outside. Galing. Yeah, I have to agree with Mao.
Kasi
Not a
Mirza
bad pick.
naman, kasi Mirza didn't also pan out as much as similar with Dylan Nababu. I think he decided to be a pilot.
Oh, talaga?
Yeah, pilot.
Piloto siya.
Yeah, and now Dylan Nababu sorry. Kasi Mirza is actually, I think, the owner and manager of one of the Division 1 teams of the Philippines sa Dota naman, sa Dota. Esports na si kasi Mirza. Polaris
Okay.
Esports. Mirza is very involved in that team. So something, not basketball but still a sport.
Sports pa rin. Sport.
Probably couldn't, yung competitive juices niya was calling him na hanap tayo ng saan tayo pwedeng sumabak uli.
Oh, wow.
Okay, interesting. Dami kong natututunan kay
Ako rin,
Maui.
Mau.
Ganito talaga to guys. So, huwag kayong magulat kapag ganyan si Maui.
Yeah. I loved having you here, Mau. Ang dami ko na real.
Dami, no? Dami research.
Dami ko na figure
na.
out sa'yo, Ari. Galing. Anyway, Sam, third pick.
Sige. Third pick. I think this is also an emotional pick. Punta naman tayo medyo old school, super old school, mga panahon ni Cyrus Baguio. Napag-usapan rin natin to kanina. Idol ko din to kasi may forward siya, medyo do-it-all forward yung dating niya. Coach ng UP. Assistant coach sa UP, si Christian Wanson.
One of my favorite players, Christian Wanson.
I love this guy. I personally mas gusto ko siya kaysa kay Cyrus. At least ako kasi eto alam ko mas malaki to 'di ba si Luanzo.
Yeah, he was big.
Malaki,
he was
malaki.
My point of comparison for him was Wesley Gonzalez because he played a lot like Wesley in
similar.
Yeah, 6'4",
6'5".
Oh, you can bring the ball up, you can defend multiple
positions, right? Yeah.
And eventually became I think the main man of UST when sina Cyrus.
Of UST pag alis ni Cyrus.
Probably
and Wesley's my favorite Ateneo player. Nag-mythical team ba to? Oh,
probably nung last year niya I think 06. He was very good that year nung naiwan kasi siya Naubos na yung UST. This was before the UST team na out of nowhere.
Nag-champion.
Christian
okay,
Luanzon.
sige. Luanzon. Love this guy.
And just as an aside, I think he's a great commentator.
Yes.
Nung first year niya, hindi siya magaling. Nung first year, medyo nahirapan.
Talaga?
Pero, parang nangangapa-ngapa pa. Pero, after that, okay na. I think, nahirapan siya like to say what he wants to say nung first year siya. Kasi, I think he's a very smart guy. Like, very analytical.
Yeah, he is. Halata from how he speaks, he's a really knowledgeable person. And
I guess that's why he's a coach also, diba? Like, you must be really knowledgeable.
Very versatile player rin High IQ guy.
Exactly yun. High IQ, tama.
Wow.
Okay, Gab. Back
wings
to back.
galore. Puro wings ang kinuha nyo sa big man. So
we're definitely drafting UST.
But I have to go with for my third pick, I have to go with a position that I think is very important in basketball, which is the point guard position. And I'm gonna go with a guy who I think you can argue with me on this. I think he's the best point guard that's come around in the last what 15, 20 years in UST. I'm gonna go with Jerick Fortuna.
Yes.
I
Floor
love
general.
yeah, floor general, dead eye shooter,
Steady
excellent
player.
pesky defender. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
strong. I mean, he doesn't he's small, doesn't look like, but he's stocky. He's a strong guy. Hit big
Clutch.
shots for
Clutch
UST.
din.
Yes,
Clutch.
hit big shots for UST, and
Saka he
love.
really played up. He played, I think, Lasal High School or Zobel. And he wasn't
Yep.
picking up by the seniors team. So, galing na nag-shine siya when he went to UST.
Yeah, I think he played with his brother. I think he had a younger brother who went to LaSalle, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the left-handed brother niya, and he went to UST, which was a spectacular decision
Yeah.
because he became the star. Had a brief career in the PBA, although similar to his teammates, Dylan Ababu and the rest, didn't have much of a career in the PBA. But I think he's excellent. I think he's a great player, excellent point guard. No, he had a stint in the what you call this, the
ABL.
ABL.
I think ABL.
Yes,
Yeah,
ASEAN
ABL.
Basketball League. He
Mm.
was a starting point guard for that team.
Kasama na, I
Uh,
think, sila Lester Alvarez of Adamson.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, tama. And if I have a guy like Cyrus Baguio who's penetrating in the paint, and Jervy Cruz who will run plays for him at the post, I gotta have a guy who can shoot, and Jerick Fortuna can shoot. Uh, excellent shooter. Which is why, for my next pick, I'm gonna go
Jerick,
with
Fort-
more. Go ahead, Mau.
Jerick Fortuna pala, sorry, fun fact also. Similar to kasi Mirza, decided to become a pilot.
Oh,
So siya
okay.
yung nag-pilot.
Pilot
Okay,
rin siya.
okay.
So baka nag-usap
Parang
sila,
naalala
oy
ko to.
pare, nagpa-pilot ako, baka, yun, siguro sumunod yung isa. Another fun
Oh,
fact.
Naalala ko to.
wow.
Okay, alam
Career
ko yan.
after
Parang alam ko yan.
basketball, huh? Okay, nice. So anyway, I'm gonna for my fourth pick, I'm gonna go with more shooting and another wing slash big man combo, Kevin Ferrer.
Oo nga, Kevin Ferrer.
Mr. Kevin Ferrer.
Mas kukunin
Uh,
pa yun kay Mirza. I forgot
nakalimutan
about
mo?
Kevin Ferrer. Oo, Kevin Ferrer nga.
Uh,
Kalimutan mo nga eh.
what
Oo.
what is there left to say about Kevin Ferrer? I think he had a spectacular juniors career
Juniors,
and
ano.
went on to the seniors and also had a spectacular seniors career. The only thing missing was a championship. I think he went to the finals three times. I think he went to the finals against Ateneo, went to the finals against LaSalle, and I think went to the finals again against FEU, if I'm not mistaken.
Oo
We
nga,
Basta
did, di
alam
ba?
ko
baka,
at least twice. At
possibly.
least twice.
Yeah, I
Possibly,
think.
possibly. Kevin Ferrer
So
having a great PBA career also.
yes,
Playing for
under
Pinoy
the same
Redsol
coach.
under the same coach.
Under the
Northport.
same coach.
Northport.
So, uh, yeah, he loves to shoot it, and he shoots it very well. Uh, although I would have to say, I think if he put on some weight in the pro leagues,
Oh, sa PBA, no?
which kind of slowed him down a bit. Similar to our observation, Sam, with Aldrich Ramos and
Aldrich
FEU.
Ramos.
Mm-mm.
Kasi
His
si...
strength was he was lanky, was fast, and could shoot the ball. And same thing with Kevin Ferrer. He was lanky. He could shoot, but seems to have gotten a bit slower as the years have gone on. Yung put on a bit
Tsaka
of
ang
I don't know if it's the weight training,
muscle
but
or... Yeah.
uh,
Di ba ang
but
comparison kay Kevin Ferrer coming out of high school, parang Kevin Durant to. Sobrang
Kevin Durant
haba
ng
na
Pinas.
lanky na 3-point
Uh,
shooter. Ganyan. Yun yung
was
scouting
Kiefer
report sa kanya.
just a trivia for
Sabay ni
everyone.
Kiefer.
He was the main rival of Kiefer Ravena
Yeah.
in the juniors division. So when they met in the final or in the UAAP, it was a big thing because it was Kevin Ferrer versus Kiefer Ravena.
They're
Mula
good
high
friends
school, no?
daw.
Oh,
Mm.
all from high school.
Oo, mga high school.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Sam.
Sige. Um, yeah, actually, I was choosing between Luanzon and Fortuna kanina, no? Decided to get Luanzon na lang because I like his size. Um, alam kong pipili si Gab ng isang guard eh. And so, meron naman akong backup guard na pipiliin. Teammate of Renz Abando, fellow
Oh,
one-year
okay.
player.
Red
Um,
Paraiso!
Mark Nonoy. So, um, sobrang disappointed ako kay Mark Nonoy sa Lasal, pero nung nasa UST siya, sobrang baliw din ito maglaro. I remember he scored like 30 points in a
Game
game or
1. Game 1. Yeah.
game 1 ba yun or Final Four? Yeah, or something.
Game 1 of finals yun. I
Game
remember
1 of
it
the
vividly.
finals.
Yun, okay.
Grabe yun. Lahat ng tapo na tres ni Mark Nonoy was going in. UST was
Yun,
leading by a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
Kala ko
they were leading by a lot.
kala ko mag-meltdown yung sweep team ng Ateneo.
Ateneo.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
remember
remember that.
that.
I
Bato
remember.
lang to ng bato. Pasok lahat. Grabe. Kahit yung
I,
mga malalayo eh.
I was there watching from Gen Ad yung with my fellow cheerleaders, and I was yung nagano'n lang ako, anong ginagawa nitong Mark Nonoy na to? Bakit lahat ng binabato niya pumapasok? Kalokohan siya. And he was uh, I would say he was one of the first people to introduce the Steph Curry shot in the UAP,
Ang
to shoot
layo,
it
di ba?
to shoot it from way beyond the three-point line. We
Yeah,
haven't seen
that's what I remember.
players in the UAP
Sa
do it
gitna. Oo, sa gitna.
oh
Mark Nonoy.
consistently. But Mark Nonoy, I
Mm.
think, was the first one. He would just launch it. And again, this is a credit to Alden Ayo. He gave Mark Nonoy the license to shoot threes. When he came into UST as the head coach, they were shooting a lot of threes as compared to when he was in LaSalle, where it was more pick and roll or post up the Ben and Bala. He played to his players' strength, and one of the strengths of his players was running and shooting a lot of threes. And Mark Nonoy thrived. I think Mark Nonoy was better suited. Again, you say it, Sam. He's not as good the past season in LaSalle. Maybe because he was playing under a different system than when he was playing under Alden Ayo. Yeah.
Also for me, Mark Nonoy was playing behind two very good guards in Lasal, Shawnee Winston and the very talented and experienced Evanelli.
Nelly.
That played a big part in why you cannot play the three of them at the same time.
Yeah. Although I would have to argue, I think Mark Nonoy should have played more than Shawnee Winston. Honestly, ako nung past season, medyo naasar ako kay Shawnee Winston. Kasi tira siya ng tira ng mid-range shots niya. Ayaw niya ibigay
Yeah,
kay Balti.
yeah. May games na he kept on shooting those contested
Oh,
mid-range shots.
we forgot about another guard. He was also playing behind Kurt Lohera as well. So,
Isa pa yun, Court
oh,
Herrera,
diba?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
which was the
So maybe
enforcer.
maybe this upcoming season we'll get to see the more explosive Mark Nonoy. Because I'm a big Mark Nonoy fan. Sobrang exciting
Same.
yung player, diba?
Yeah.
I think to be fair to pangalan ng coach nila, Pumaren,
Derek
Derek
Pumaren.
Pumaren. I think Mark Nonoy was getting a lot of minutes nung first half or nung basta first half of the season he was getting a lot of minutes. Tapos nung bandang dulo dun siya
Kalat pa
nawalan
kasi kalat pa si
nag
Evanelli nung first round.
exactly.
Nag-a-adjust.
And then nung umangat na si Nelly, si
Wala
Nonoy
na.
na yung nawalan
Nonoy
ng
na
minutes eh.
nawalan.
So
Plus, as Gab mentioned, Kurt Lohera really played himself into the rotation.
I love
Yes.
Kurt Lohera.
I love Kurt Lahera. Ah,
Okay, Maui.
go. Awi.
Last pick of the round and then recap tayo.
Inubos nyo na yung guards eh. So, point guards
Marami
eh. So,
pa dyan.
and
Marami pa
also,
dyan.
I also have to pick, well, my next pick is one of the most iconic UST players in recent memory, defeating UP with a very cold-blooded three-pointer during the elimination game. I'm going to pick Renzo Sobido. Also, another Lasal High School Zobel
Yes.
stalwart. Ayan.
Good pick.
One of the
Similar,
smallest players.
yeah,
Oh,
one of the
go
smallest
ahead,
players.
Maui.
Similar
Go ahead.
to Gab's pick of Jerick Fortuna, I think Renzo Zubido possessed the same skill set. Very controlled yung game, very patient with the basketball, didn't force a lot of things, and was clearly one of the leaders, if not the leader of the USC team that really flourished with Alden Ayo. Yan.
Yes. Big
I
shot
think
taker
I
talaga.
think
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
I think nung dumating si Ayo, sobrang hitok Subido's game to the next level din eh.
Yeah.
Ibang klase din yung game ni Subido. Like alam like starter na siya or magaling na siya even before, but with Ayo, yung pace nila and yung shooting nila sa tres, grabe, sobrang gumaling si Subido nung time na yun.
Iba rin kumpiyansa
Also,
binibigay ni Alden Ayo talaga sa guards. I think which
yeah.
is why si Mark Nonoy, as you mentioned, has not been that great since its USC stint.
Also, I think because the coach before Alden I was, you know, a lot of the players didn't like the coach. I forgot his name.
Oh yeah,
Sablan ata. Boy
yeah.
Sablan. Yeah.
Boy Sablan, no.
He had a ton of problems with his players. I remember that. So there were a ton of issues there. So, but thankfully, Alden Ayo came in and then also had a ton of problems with his players.
Yeah.
So
Off court, very off court naman during COVID.
USD has had a lot of problematic years with their coaches recently.
Yeah.
Uh, ever since Pido left the school, they've had bad luck with coaches. So hopefully they could find someone, hopefully itong si Gino Manansala.
Para
If ever
silang
he's
if I were to compare them to an NBA team, they're like the New York Knicks, shuffling around all these coaches,
yes,
so many off court issues.
yes.
Mm.
Oh,
Speaking of their current coach, parang hindi siya yung coach ng 'di ba, nung parang D-League nila ngayon. Nabasa niyo ba 'yun?
oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't watched. I don't follow the
Parang
D League.
basta
Kaka-start
may
lang sa amin, no,
upcoming
D-League.
may
Kaka-start lang.
upcoming
I saw
competition tapos
highlights of the De La Salle game.
'yun, hindi siya yung UST coach, iba yung coach.
So
So
baka iba na naman.
questionable pa yung
Baka
oo.
iba na naman.
Kasi contract niya is only until December. So hindi sila sure kung like siya ba gagamitin for the September season or what. Basta 'yun. So mukhang baka maiba na naman.
Actually,
Sige.
there's been a lot of clamor to bring back Alden Ayo sa alumni.
Isn't he
Alden, no?
suspended? Di ba he's banned from
He's
the
suspended,
UAAP?
yeah, he's banned. But
He's banned from the UAAP and the NCAA.
NCAA.
'Di ba?
If nakikita nyo sa Facebook, nakikita ko sometimes sa Facebook yung UST, some articles petitioning Alden Ayo to come back. So apparently, alumni nila really fell in love with the Alden Ayo during that lone year that they outperformed.
Can't argue with winning, pare. Kung,
Yes.
Yeah.
diba? Kung nananalo kayo under one coach, diba? You bring him back.
Given all the turmoil, diba? They've faced since the Kevin Ferrer era or the Kareem Abdul era. Magulo talaga. For my next pick naman,
Wait.
Wait. Recap lang tayo
Recap lang tayo.
So, Maui, Chabio, Dylan Ababu, Kazimir Za, Renzo Subido, ako, Abdul Abando, Luanzon, Nonoy, si Gab, Baguio, Cruz, Fortuna, and Ferrer. Okay, next round, Maui, ikaw ulit.
yeah, ang next pick ko is I was choosing between two wing players again. Nasa mid 2000s siya. I think we're very familiar with this player because he's our batchmate. To me, he was one of the deadliest 3-point shooters in UAAP. And what I really liked about this player was that you really saw the intensity, yung games niya, which is very prevalent in big games when he hit big shots or had big defensive stats. Unfortunately, I don't think he also won a UAAP chip. And he didn't have a stellar PBA career. So I'm going with Jerick Teng.
Jerick
He was supposed to be my next. Sabi ko, sana they go another way. Gusto ko si Jerick Teng.
Very intense player kasi for me, Jerick Teng. But a very nice
I'm
guy. I
sure
met the guy. Very nice guy.
talaga.
Hmm.
I'm surprised hindi siya nag-translate sa PBA, no? Like, may
Yeah, me
shooting naman
too.
siya, may height, may length siya.
I think it's more
Medyo
of
disappointed ako dun.
it's not a problem with Jerick Teng. I think it's more of a problem of the PBA. I've I've been saying this for a long time. The PBA has too little teams for so many talented Filipino basketball players. Diba? Jerick Teng can't crack a roster spot in a single PBA team, while a 40-year-old Kagiwa can still hold the PBA spot. Even James Yap. Come on, guys. J-
That's true.
diba?
Right opportunity with PBA.
Mm-hmm.
Diba?
Totoo
Mm.
yan.
Right
And
opportunity.
just a quick aside on Jerick Teng. I think he's a more skilled basketball player than Jeron Teng. He's just not as strong as Jeron. But
Right.
Jeron's Teng's game is more predicated on his strength.
Ginagayot eh, no?
Yeah, on his LeBron-like strength to get to the paint. Jerick Teng was all skill, had a three-point shot, a jump,
Triple threat.
kick. Yeah, can
Jumper.
score on all three
Yeah.
levels. Inside, mid-range, long range, had all the tools, and especially during his last season in UST, he really came out as the main guy, scored a ton of buckets. I'm a really a big Jerick Teng fan.
And tama si Maui, I think he looks nice, pero he's super competitive. Like, sobrang may competitive fire tong guy na to.
Pang winning team yan.
Si Sige, game. For my next pick, I think this is a teammate of Jerick Teng, if I'm not mistaken. Pero baka mali ako. Happy to have him. I'm looking at like a athletic guard, can hit the three and can defend well. Recently na injure ata siya. I think na
Oh,
ACL sa
yeah.
team niya,
Oh, sorry niyan.
unfortunately. So I'm picking Ed
Nakiwag.
Dakiwag.
Yeah, okay.
Really nice guy, defensive guy. Usually guards the best player on the other team.
Another guy who where did he come from? Another guy when I saw him play, who is this guy?
Yeah, who
And
is this guy?
I remember one of my first games that I saw Ed Dakiwag play. He was being called by Rolly Manlapas Father Ed Dakiwag. Where did I
I think,
Hindi ko maalala yun.
yeah,
pwede,
I
pwede,
distinctly
pwede.
remember this. It was one of the first games he checked in, and then he was being called by Rolly Manlapas, who was the PA announcer in UAAP games. He was calling him Father Ed the Kiwag. Is this a thing? He's really called Father? But he really came out of the blue. Another guy na UST na wherever they got him, and he's suddenly a pretty good player. Grabe. Ed the Kiwag. And with a
Nice guy
thriving,
too.
yeah, nice guy, and a thriving
Nakangiti
UAP,
lang lagi.
PBA career.
Yes.
Sayang lang
Yeah.
na injury recently no.
Oo nga eh.
Very bad fall. Tsaka what I liked about Ed Dakiwag was that he could play the point guard slot, shooting guard slot, and the small forward slot, while also defending the best player from the other end of the floor.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Pido Horencio would always give him the toughest
Mm.
assignments on the other side. I remember him trying to defend Kiefer all the time when it was UST versus Ateneo. Ah, you guys got my the two players next on my list. So I'm gonna have to go pretty far here. Sige, for my fifth pick, I'm gonna go. I have to go a bit old school here. I'm gonna go with Jojo Dunsil. Surround Cyrus Baguio with more shooting, because this guy could shoot, he could score as well, and again, he's part of that 2006 championship team.
Another big
May
shot maker
hangover
player.
ka ata dun sa team na yun eh.
Because they're the team really that I remember the most. Honestly, I remember all of their, well, almost all of their players, but all of their starting five, their main guys on the floor. I can remember one of the. I guess we can say it now. CT Japs Kuan. I can remember him shooting left,
Free
and then the
throws.
free throw shooting right. I was
Yeah.
like, wow. And he still couldn't make his free throws despite changing his shooting hand. But yeah, I trust me, I remember the entire 2006 championship team of UST because they're etched in my memory with so much pain. Jojo Duncil was another guy who could score the hell out of the ball. He could shoot really well.
Out of nowhere din yan, nung 2006.
Yeah.
One of the best players bigla of that year for me.
Yep. Totoo yan, totoo yan. Ang dami no ng UST na players who just
Out of nowhere.
uh, come out of nowhere and then suddenly they're stars.
Dylan
Well, now
Ababu
we
also
know
came out of
why.
nowhere. Diba? Dylan Ababu, ano ba
Now we know
we don't,
why.
I don't even know what high school Dylan Ababu went to.
Yep.
Actually.
Okay, Sam.
Okay, Gab, ikaw ulit. Ikaw ulit, di ba?
Hey.
Ay,
Okay. Nga pala. I
oh,
have
ikaw
back-to-back
ulit.
picks. Okay,
Oh.
okay. I did not plan this, but I have to go with a more recent player for UST. Sadly got injured in his time in UST, but I think he showed enough flashes of brilliance. I'm gonna go with CJ Cancino.
Ogie boy.
Yep. And
All
again, there's
heart
another
to.
guy, another wing who can
All heart.
play the point guard, shooting guard, and small forward positions. And I think most recently in the UAP finals showed that he's a damn good player. I think even better than Richie Rivero, but uh, great guy. Great guy. Can also defend and play and has a ton of heart. I mean, we just recently found out that he was playing with a partially torn ACL. Really, that he's gonna miss the next season. Ah, poor guy. And he tore his ACL on the other knee. So he tore his
Grabe.
ACL on both knees. Hopefully he comes back stronger in season 86.
He
Yeah,
was playing
hopefully.
with a torn meniscus and an ACL tear yung finals.
Diba?
Kaya
And
pala
he hit.
Grabe. Grabe
he
na.
was playing sparingly but during the minutes he was there. I don't know, he scored 15 points by 11 minutes.
14.
Yeah,
Parang 14 points.
And that shot
during that
off the
dedicated
glass to
position,
tie the game and send it to overtime.
broke my heart.
Same Maui. Broke my heart.
Broke my heart.
Wag na natin pag-usapan. Pwede ba wag na natin pag-usapan yung moment na yan. Pero I feel
UP
bad for
moment,
this
UP
guy.
moment.
Parang yung first injury niya with UST, wasn't that against Ateneo also? O hindi?
Yeah.
Wasn't it
If I
against
remember,
Ateneo?
if I
So,
remember
yung 2 injuries niya against Ateneo lagi. He shouldn't play against Ateneo anymore. Feel ko
Freak
yun
malas
lang
siya
accidents
eh.
eh.
Freak accident. Yung last injury
Oo,
niya
di
was
ba?
loose ball, going for the loose ball lang.
Yep.
Oh. Sayang, super talented guy. Sayang.
Very
But
strong
good pick,
rebounder
Gab.
also. Very strong rebounder
Underrated
at that
rebounder. Yeah.
at that height. What's he, 6'1"?
Yeah,
Yep.
correct.
6-1.
Good pick. Okay, for my next pick, sixth man siya. So, gusto ko medyo do it all forward. Ang joke ni Apo dito dun sa Lasal draft namin is siya yung finals MVP against Lasal. Kasi siya yung ng Lasal. Kasi siya yung nagpapanalo sa Lasal. So, I'm picking Aljon Mariano. So, siguro except that finals game against Lasal, you can say sobrang galing nitong si Aljon Mariano. Hindi ko lang alam ano ginawa niya doon sa last possession na yon, but I like this guy. Can score
Actually, that
multiple
whole game, he
ways
was
din.
very terrible that whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shooting
Not
line niya
just the
during
last
that
shot,
game, I
Sam.
think 3 for 14 ata.
Yep.
So,
There
very
was a reason.
controversial player, but to me, Aljon Mariano's one of the most underrated players sa UST.
Yeah,
Right.
yung as I was saying previously, Mao, he played with Kasim Mirza and Dylan Nababu, I think for 2 or 3 seasons. And 3-6-4 to 6-5 guys who can shoot outside, get in the paint, can handle the ball. Grabe. What a team. What a
What a
team
team, what a team.
yung
Yeah, what a team.
Pidorenzo had in UST. Ah,
Tsaka,
Aljon
tsaka
Mariano.
si Aljon Mariano, I can really say underrated siya sa UAP stint niya. Which is why he's having a very successful stint with Ginebra in the PBA. Despite still playing the
Na-injure lang eh, no?
power forward slot. Yeah, na-injure lang sometimes.
Yeah, but tama ka eh. I think perfect team for him yung Hinebra and him coming off the bench. Sana lang he stays healthy. But honestly, I feel like Art De La Cruz had like a better college career pero na out niya si Art De La Cruz kasi si Art talagang hindi makabalik, laging injured eh. So
Yeah,
hopefully
laging
itong si
injured.
Aljon can stick around. Okay din to, I like this guy. Except for that finals game. Sige,
Sad.
Maui, ikaw.
It's kind of sad. He had a very successful UAP career, which is
But
overshadowed by the
by
last
that
game of
that
his
ano, oo nga.
the last game of his
Tama ka
UAP
dun.
career.
Yeah,
Kind of
Well,
sad.
tama
Kind
ka
of
dun.
sad.
at least he still panned out as a pro, unlike to another UE player that did not pan out as a pro because of controversial playing during crucial games.
Ipangalan mo na, Maui. Ipangalan
Si
mo na.
Pangalan na
Bonbon,
natin.
Yeah.
Bonbon, Custodio.
Yes.
Yes,
Stay
very
tuned for our future
controversial.
drafts.
Yeah, future
Let's see if
draft.
anyone gets
UE.
Bonbon.
Tingnan natin. Okay, Maui, last pick in the, ano na ba to?
Six pick na ba to?
Sixth
Six na,
round.
no? So six
Sixth
man na
pick,
to,
six
six
man
man.
mo. Oo.
Ah, this guy was also a very good six man in the UAP, but had a very big senior year. I'm picking another wing. He's also in the pros right now. I'm picking Louis Vigil.
Yeah, Louis Vigil.
Also another versatile wing player for UST.
Yep. And
Correct.
the thing with Louis Vigil, I think yung tama ka, Mau, I think only in his senior year did he start to really score a bunch. Because I
Yeah,
think he was the only guy left from that final score
yeah.
from the previous years under Pido.
This guy also
Uh,
came from LaSalle.
Talaga?
Yeah, he came
Nasaan
from
ba to?
LaSalle. I think he played 1 year in LaSalle. He was the, if I'm not mistaken, he was the NCAA MVP from JRU ata, JRU or Letran. Also mythical, definitely a mythical team member during senior year in high school, and then he was heavily recruited. And he went to LaSalle, but
Hmm.
also did not pan out. Similar to JD Kagulangan, MVP ng juniors that transferred
Ooh, okay,
to another
okay.
school.
Did
Kaya
not know that.
matanda na si Louis Vigil nung last year niya sa UAP. I think he maxed out the years.
Okay.
Parang
So
25 years old na
25
siya.
years old siya.
25 na.
Kaya he was
25
really
na siya.
dominating, scoring bunches.
Yung literal na minamama niya yung mga bata.
Minamama na. Imagine playing, you're 25 years old and playing 18 years olds na skinny pa na guards. Yan.
Okay, sige, recap muna tayo ha. So, after 6 rounds, ito na yung teams natin. Maui, Chabio, Ababu, Mirza, Subido, Teng, Vigil. Sa akin, si Karim Abdul, Abando, Luanzon, Nonoy, Dakiwag, and Mariano. And then kay Gab, Baguio, Cruz, Fortuna, Ferrer, Dunsil, and CJ Cancino.
Just a
Alright,
funny
2 more picks.
observation. We're
Go.
all going 4 out, 1 in
Very UST.
place.
Very UST.
Wings
Very
eh.
US.
Wings talaga
Because it's
eh.
all wings and guards. We only have 1 center each on our teams.
Small ball yung mga forwards natin eh, no?
So very
Okay.
yung tama si Maui, yung very UST yung ating teams natin. But okay,
I
parang
feel
big.
like tinitingnan ko yung board ko ngayon. I'm not sure with you guys, pero medyo ito na yung round na nahirapan ako. Nahirapan na ako to pick. So, curious to see where everyone will go with their picks. So,
Actually,
Maui, start off with the 7th round. 2
Ako
more
nga
picks
pala
na lang,
ulit.
7 and 8.
For my next pick, I would probably choose Mahirap na nga, Sam. Tama ka. 7 games.
Sabi ko sa'yo eh.
Medyo mahirap na
Medyo
siya.
mahirap na eh.
Recent player, another shooter. Very underrated shooter, but also
Patay.
playing undersized. But very good for modern basketball. I'm picking Sherwin Concepcion.
I knew it.
Okay,
Ano,
good pick. Good pick.
akala ko ako lang maka-observe na si Sherwin nandyan pa.
nga.
Sherwin nandyan pa. Played Gilas basketball in his teens, I think. And I do remember he was part of those
Talaga?
Youth teams.
youth teams. Because of his ability to shoot the lights out. He's a terrific shooter.
Probably he will pan out in the pros if he ends up playing the 2 or 3 slot as a sharpshooter.
Yep.
4 kasi siya sa UAAP which is very hard for him.
I think he could carve out a role, Mao, as like a Carl Brian Cruz type. You know, that 4 guy who could stretch the floor, but he's very small. But he's we talk about guys who shoot the basketball really beautifully, like Renan Etoalo. This guy has an excellent stroke.
Yeah, excellent stroke.
I love this guy's shooting stroke. So, grabe. Yung nata-turn on ako yung every time makita ko na yung mag-shoot sa Sherwin Concepcion.
Takot.
So, ang ganda ng form niya, grabe. Perfect L. Tapos makita mo talaga sa replay, ang ganda.
Probably second to Mark Nonoy nung kalaban natin niya sa finals. Ako takot pag nakita ko Sherwin Concepcion clean look from the corner.
Yep. Sherwin Concepcion. I thought that I would be the only one who would notice that he's still there. Sammy.
Okay. Narapan ako. I'm choosing between gusto ko guard. I'm choosing between 2 guards. Siguro I'll go old school this time kasi medyo scoring guards na yung mga napili ko eh, si Ed Akiwag tsaka si Mark Nonoy. Gusto ko medyo siguro parang may pagka-floor general din to eh, if I remember correctly. Medyo annoying player to eh. Kailan ba siya? Recently lang din siya nawala. But he was there for the longest time. May shooting siya and medyo pesky. I'm picking Marvin Lee. Marvin Lee as my
super shooter yan. Marvin Lee, also another super shooter.
Shooter.
Another guy
who... nakakainis to eh. Makulit to eh.
Yeah, pesky. He's
another guy who came out of the blue. Like, where did this guy come from?
He's the typical FU guard. I think he came from FU Juniors. Marvin Lee.
Okay.
If
I'm not mistaken.
Did not know that.
So, chinek ko stats niya quickly, no, before, kanina. Like, on his final year, he ended nung 4th year niya. He had 1 more playing year, pero hindi na niya tinapos. Pero on his final year, he averaged 14 points a game pala. So, that was alongside Subido na and other guards din. So, he was pretty good din pala nung final year. Hindi ko na-expect
because I think
karami
it was
na scoring.
Subido and him. I think most of the plays are being run through Marvin Lee and Lorenzo Subido.
The both of them. Okay.
He was playing more than Subido when he was there.
Which is why I think Lorenzo Subido hated his coach also because he wasn't playing him.
Correct.
All right. So
okay, Gab. Last 2 picks mo.
Nahihirapan ako, but I'm gonna go with a guy this pick is based solely on memory because I don't see highlights of him. I don't think he played a long career in the pros or in any other league, but I do remember him that he was a pretty good big guy and had a lot of battles with Enrico Villanueva. I'm gonna go with Alwin Espiritu.
Similar.
Maui, do you remember this guy? He played with Cyrus Baguio.
He was the first Jervy. He was Jervy Cruz before Jervy Cruz.
Yes.
Similar. Not that big, very stocky. Grabbed a lot of rebounds. Scored in bunches inside.
Yes. played
Very
in the right
underrated. Diba?
UAAP era,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this was a time when all of the schools were finding the next big man.
And all
Ateneo
local.
had,
Yeah, all
yep,
local. All those
yep,
bigs
all
were
local
local.
big man and big men, and Ateneo had Enrico Villanueva. So UST had this guy, Alvin
Yeah.
Espiritu.
Irish
He
Spirit
was
too.
big, he was bulky, he can score in the paint. Mostly overshadowed by the brilliance of Enrico Villanueva and other centers during that time, but I think he was a pretty good player also. Did not have a long pro career, or at least I don't remember if he did. But yeah, to b- to back up Jervy Cruz, I'm gonna go with another Jervy Cruz player, Alvin
Similar.
Espiritu.
Actually, nakakatawa yung description mo, Gab. Kasi I had him on my board. Didn't expect you to pick him. Pero hindi ko siya mapili early. Kasi parang wala na talaga akong halos maalala sa kanya. Alam ko lang, siya yung bumabantay kay Enrico Villanueva nung time na yon. Na parang, alam ko malaki to eh.
Yeah,
Nababantayan niya
he
si
was big.
Villanueva nun. Pero
Double-double
wala
guy
na
yan.
talaga akong maalala.
Double-double guy.
Okay.
Alvin Spirit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Similar build with Rico. Very stocky and strong.
Yep. And you credit to him is, I think he had more moves than Enrico. And Enrico had that drop step, spin move, and then the hook shot, but didn't. Well, when I look back in the games, I still have the DVD Mao of the 2002 championship. Hindi, Enrico was just really big. Just
Super
a big,
strong.
super
Super
strong
strong.
Enrico. But
Yeah.
in terms of moves and skills, I think there were big men who were more skilled than he was. He was just really the strongest guy out there.
Definitely. By a mile.
Yep. And so for my last pick, I'm actually having a really hard time searching for someone to pick from this list. But sige, I'm gonna go with more shooting.
Hirap na eh.
I'm gonna go with Clark Bautista.
Tata Bautista.
Nice! Clark Bautista. Pinapipilian ko sila eh, ni Marvin Lee. Pero mas parang naalala ko recent si Marvin Lee.
I
Clark
do
Bautista.
remember playing against him when he was a little kid in forgot what school it was, some international school or something. It's a small school.
Clark.
Kaya this is another guy who came out of nowhere. So uh, Clark Bautista apparently he became good
Clark
from the.
Bautista, I think, played for Ateneo Team B. If I'm
Oh,
not
talaga?
mistaken. Mm.
Talaga?
He was always being cut. Parang yung last player, second to the last player, ganyan. If I'm not mistaken, you played for Ateneo Team B. So he could have been
So,
part of our team.
Benedictine International School. Yun, I remember now.
Yeah.
I remember.
Tama, tama.
Diba? He
Tama.
came from that
Benedict.
school. Yeah.
wow.
Mm.
Benedictine
Wow.
International School. I do remember. Yeah. We played against them a few times when I was in grade school. When he was, still younger and smaller than I was. But yeah, Clark Bautista. Another. I think I have a lot of shooting on my team. Kevin
Knockdown
Ferrer.
shooter to, Clark Bautista.
Yep. Deadly shooter. Deadly shooter. All right, Sam. Last pick.
Um, I'm gonna go for
Hirap
a
na, no?
big man na... Oo nga eh. Hindi ko na siya overthink. I'm gonna go for a big man na may shooting. Zak Wang.
Zak Wang.
Pesky power forward na may shooting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Aldin Ayo loved him. Played them a lot.
Yeah. Kaya nga din naalala ko siya kasi nakakalaro siya kay Alden. Meron siyang super good mid-range shot, to be honest.
Yeah. Although
Sipag mag-rebound tapos mid-range.
I'm kind of surprised you went with him and not other players in this list. Because I think, anyway,
Dave
we'll talk about it
Ando?
later.
Dave Ando ba?
We'll talk about it later. There
Okay.
are some players, I think, na deserve a shout out. But go ahead, Maui, with your last pick.
Last pick na no?
Yep.
No?
Yep.
Is this right? Justin Aranya, the one playing the PBA, played for UST?
I searched for that also because when I looked through
Oo.
the rosters of UST, I saw a Aranya, and he was marked as center. So I had to look it up if this was the same Justin Aranya. Apparently, it
Oo.
was. This is the same Justin Aranya who most recently became,
Pick
I think,
top 3, I think, no? Top 3 in the
Top pick?
PBA.
yeah, yung one of the top three picks in the
So
PBA. But
he's similar to Mark Pingris, yung mga tipong nasa UAAP pala, pero hindi natin alam, tapos biglang nag-bloom.
yep.
Hmm.
So I really had to search na
Hmm.
if this is the same Justin Aranya, but
Hmm.
you're not getting the Justin Aranya from this past year, Maui. If you're gonna pick
Arellano.
him.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, grabe.
we
Dominant
never
big
saw him
man.
play for UST.
Yeah, we never saw him.
Wait, sorry. Nag-quick Google ako. Meron nga, nakasuot siyang USD tas Toto
Na-UST nga
yung
siya.
itsura niya.
Wow.
May
Wow.
USD t-shirt siya dito eh. Is
Actually, Gab,
UST's
maraming...
Justin Aranya transferring to another UAAP team? Yun. Yun yung headline.
Pati nga si Ron Javier nandito, I think UE to nag-end up at
Yeah.
nag-break out. Yeah. It's 2022, so doesn't matter if I only have Shabio as my big. I'm going with another wing player, another sharpshooter from the Jervy Cruz era. Ay wait, na-pick na ba Anthony Espiritu? Di
Di
pa.
pa. Si Alwin
Hindi
ang
pa,
na-pick.
hindi pa.
Ayun, so my last pick is probably Anthony Espiritu. Very
Yeah.
underrated shooter na
Yes.
matangkad
Hindi ko
din,
maalala yan.
matangkad. 6'5",
Hindi ko
6'4
maalala
na
yan.
3-point shooter. I
Yep.
don't know if it's related to the big man, probably his brother or something.
Yeah, you probably his brother. This was the guy I was talking about Sam previously. Na you picked Zak Wang. I was like, you could have picked Anthony Espiritu, but apparently you don't remember him. But I do.
Hindi
He
ko
was
siya maalala.
skinny. He was so skinny, but he could shoot, which is why Pido Harenso loved playing. He was part of the last five of UST during game one of the 2006 UAB finals. So I do remember him
A
playing
starter ba
along.
siya nun? Starter?
No, he wasn't a starter, but I think
Last
he played
five.
in the last
Last
five,
five. Yeah,
in the
very
last few
crucial.
minutes.
Yeah, very crucial. Sila ni
'Cause-
Francis Alera, mga sneaky.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if our viewers don't remember who Anthony Espiritu is, I think also he didn't have a very awesome pro career, but he was a shooter. You know,
Despite the size, no? Despite the
yep.
size. 6'4",
I think
6'5".
Mao, pare, played in the wrong era. No,
Probably.
if he played in today's UAAP, I think he would score what 18 points a game, say 15 points a game just from shooting threes. You know,
Probably.
6'4" can shoot lights out. Grabe.
Okay, naalala ko na, ginugol ko siya. Payatot.
Kalbo.
Payatot na
Payatot,
mahaba.
Haba.
Oo nga,
Yep.
magaling nga to.
Hmm.
Okay, sige, recap tayo. So, final teams. Kay Maui, Chabio, Ababu, Mirza, Subido, Teng, Vigil, Concepcion, Anthony Espiritu. Sa akin, si Karim Abdul, Renza Bando, Luanzon, Nonoy, Dakiwag, Mariano, Marvin Lee, and Zak Wang. Then kay Gab, Baguio, Jervy Cruz, Fortuna, Ferrer, Dunsil, Cansino, Espiritu, Alwin Espiritu, and then si Clark Bautista. Okay, so for those of you watching this, who do you think won this UST Fantasy Draft? Was it Maui's team, my team, or Gab's team? Comment down below kung sino sa tingin nyo yung nanalo. And let us know sino sa inyo yung mga best players for UST, or who would you pick if you were to draft your UST team? Siguro for now, Gab, you were mentioning it, diba? Any surprise picks or snubs in the draft? Maybe you can go first, Gab, and then Maui after Gab, ikaw naman. Maybe like one or two players. Surprise pick or snub?
Sige. For my surprise pick, I already said it. Zak Wang was kind of a surprise pick for me, Sam, because there are other players on the board who if you're looking for a big man, I think there are players on the board who were left who can play that position. But for guys who I think that were surprisingly not picked, I'm gonna go with two players. One is Alan Evangelista, the infamous guy who
One
did
shot
this.
wonder. One shot wonder.
Yes, who did this? Fade away from the baseline after, but yeah, Alan Evangelista. But he was decent. Could shoot also. Again, UST just finds these players who range from 6'4" to 6'6" or 6'3" to 6'6", and can do so many things on the floor. Can play big, can shoot, can handle the ball. No, our teams are like a reflection of the UST basketball history. Like puro yung puro wings na can shoot and can handle the ball. We we barely picked any big men.
Right.
Kaya
Diba?
very, very prevalent when they have a dominant big. They're able to compete. Because those other
That's
positions,
true.
especially the 2 to 4, have been very elite for this past 20 years.
Yep. And another guy, you guys might not remember him, si Mario Bonleon. He played for a
Oh
few
naman.
you he played for a few UAP schools, remember? But he's also a guy who can shoot. Pretty big guy. I mean, was he around
Never
6?
panned out, but very talented
Yep.
scorer.
He played for UE as well, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
Huey.
He played for
Yun nga
UE.
naalala ko din.
So yeah, Mario Bonleon and Alan Evangelista. There are other guys like sige, but I'll
Okay.
let you guys
Yeah,
name a
baka si
few.
Maui meron. Oo. Go, Maui.
Ah, sa
Surprise
akin,
picks or
sa akin
snubs?
more of yung super tagal na snub. Probably I was thinking about this guy for a number of picks. Si Nino Gelig. He was probably
Yeah,
overshadowed a lot
sa
by
akin din.
Cyrus
Yun din.
Baguio. But if I'm not mistaken, he also made the pro after playing it for UST.
Yep.
As far as another surprise non-pick, siguro si Japs Kuwan. Japs Kuwan was destroyed by very abysmal free throw shooting, but he was a very great floor general, especially
Yeah.
for a team that had numerous 3-point shooters and all these great wing players which we drafted.
Yep.
As far as
Yeah, that's true.
yung pick na reach, I think all of our picks were justified either by need or by the talent that we saw during those times.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
sige, good picks, Mau. Ako, wala namang, yeah, same Nino Gelig. Naalala ko nga siya, time ni Cyrus Baguio. I think for me, snubs, a more recent one, Joshua Fontanilla, was
Well.
picking, like, choosing between, like, him and, like, Clark Bautista or Marvin Lee. 1 year lang kasi si Fontanilla din eh, so kind of hard to, like, pick him. The
Tsaka
other
Cellar
guy
Dweller,
na,
UST itong past season.
mahina
Kaya
nga. Yeah.
overshadowed siya.
The other guy na um I think he just played 1 year then for UST and it wasn't a good UST team. Another wing na medyo scoring. Jordan Santa Ana. I don't know
Yeah,
if naalala
yeah.
nyo yun.
Very
Oh,
First a
okay.
versatile.
year na ang,
Uh,
'di ba?
NU to, diba?
Galing-galing niya.
NU?
Hindi,
Kaya ba siya NU?
ha?
Hindi ko alam saan pumunta siya, pero very versatile
Hindi,
forward din.
nag-NC siya.
INC na siya
Nag-NC
NCAA.
ngayon.
NC. Mm.
Pero tahimik
I
din.
remember like watching highlights of him mga a few months ago sa NCAA. Gumagawa pa rin siya, I think. Gumagawa pa rin. I think 1 year lang siya sa UST but he was like that typical scoring wing for UST for that year. If I remember correctly.
So
Yun lang
so,
naman.
so some of our viewers might be angry that no one picked Alain Maliksi. As I said in the start of this episode, you're not getting the Alain Maliksi in the of the PBA. You're getting the Alain Maliksi of UST. And no one knew Alain Maliksi went to UST actually. I
Injury
I
prone.
was
Yeah, injury prone.
yep, I was even surprised that when they
Alin
introduced
Maliksi.
him in the PBA that he was from UST. I'm like, huh? He played for UST? When?
He
So
broke
yeah,
out, I think, sa PBA D-League talaga eh, si Alin
yep,
Maliksi.
in the D League became the
Sorry,
MVP, I think,
Mm.
of the D League.
si siguro, another pick na would probably justified for the top 8. For me, si Brent Paraiso was also very very good with
Yeah.
Alden Ayo. He also
Yeah.
did well yung past season ito sa Letran with Ren sa bando.
I would say though, I think I would pick Derek Hubalde over Brent Paraiso.
Probably.
Diba,
More
you
star
remember
power.
Derek
Same type
Hubalde?
of player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shooter. Uh, he was left-handed, diba? Or was he right? I forgot.
Ata.
Kasi he was a
Or yung
shooter.
isang Hubalde ba yun?
I think yung
Uh,
Paulo Hubalde yung left,
yung
ano,
left-handed.
Yung
Okay.
kaliwete.
point guard.
Okay.
The one
I'm
that played for
confusing
UE.
them. Yeah, but he played alongside sila Gelig and Baguio and was their shooter. During that era, there each team only had one shooter talaga or one or two shooters, diba?
Hindi pa ganun
Maui,
ka,
alam ko na nalala mo to. Each team really
basketball,
only had one. Like
shooting of
Lasal
that.
had Lasal had Ren, and eventually it was BJ or Joseph Yo. Then for Ateneo it was Rainier Season, and then Larry Fonacer. Each UAP team only really had one or two. Now everyone can shoot. So change of the times, yung changing of the
Evolution.
play. Oh, the
For me, it's
evolution of
really
the
the
playing
evolution
era.
of basketball.
Yep.
Everyone's more
Totoo.
skilled right now. Before, people were really designated to specific role, more of specialists. 3-point
Specialists.
shooter, good defender, playmaker. But now, players right now, they do everything.
Okay.
Alright.
Sige.
Right.
So, that's it for our UST Fantasy Draft. Just mga nakikinig or nanonood sa YouTube, let us know, who do you think won this draft? Who would you pick if you were to draft them? And tell us sino yung next team na gusto nyo. Marami pang schools na natitira, Gab, di ba?
There's four
Obviously, there's
left.
like Ateneo, UE, Adamson, NU. I
Yeah, there are
think
four
would
left.
be like the last four teams. So let us know kung sino yung next na gusto nyong i-draft.
I would have to say though,
Don't
it was great having
Go.
Maui on. I
Yes.
learned
Thank you, guys.
so much
Thank you.
from Maui.
Thank you for
Ang
Galing.
having
dami,
me.
ang dami kong fun facts na natutunan dito kay
Dami bang
Maui
anecdotes,
ngayon.
mga random fun
Oo.
facts.
I think Maui
Oo.
made a
About
case
UST pa.
for being a second-time guest. Don't you think, Sam? I think
Of course.
Maui made a good case
Always
for being a
welcome.
second-time guest.
Dapat
Yes, I
sa
think.
Ateneo.
Yes, I'm actually thinking.
Oh,
I think we can do a 2 hour special and have 4 teams in Ateneo, Sam, because there are a lot.
yeah.
I,
Actually,
I was counting the UAAP championships for the last how many years. Uh, Ateneo has the most, and I was surprised that UST only had one, despite so many finals appearances. They only had one, the 2006 championship.
the 2006 championship.
But I think we could
Miracle year
go.
talaga yun, miracle year.
Yeah, miracle year,
Miracle year.
definitely, Mao. Tama.
Hmm.
But I think we can go 4 deep in the Ateneo draft. You gotta get
Kulang ang 8 picks.
kulang 8.
Oo nga.
Exactly.
Tama.
Ateneo has really been
Tama.
dominant this past 20 years. After that 2002
Actually,
team, dominant.
I was gonna say, yeah, actually, that was always the plan, diba, Cab? Ateneo and Lasal, sana we were going to do 4 teams. Unfortunately, nung Lasal, nawala ng internet si Dale, so we ended up with 3. But stay tuned for that Ateneo draft. Most probably, we're going to keep that as our last draft. So, sino yung next draft na gusto nyong gawin natin? We have 3 more teams. Just let us know in the comments. For those new viewers, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. See you again next time, guys. See you.
See you.